Robyn Thoren Smith is the creator of the present sense, a meditative approach to the moment-to-moment fulfillment in this fast-paced world. Since 2004, she has been leading individuals and groups to slow down, to turn within, and to experience the pulsing life force that moves inside each of us. Her work draws from the fields of somatic and ecopsychology, the human potential movement, and tantric spirituality. Welcome to Women's Broadcast Television Network. Today here with Ilona Selke in the home of Robyn Lynn. Robyn Lynn is a writer and a teacher in the human potential movement, and I have gotten to know her through her blogs, her other writings, and personally, and I've been so inspired by the depth of her understanding of being real, authentic, and bringing in the feminine energy into daily life. And I have a couple of very interesting questions that might get a little juicy here, so stay with me. To begin with, I want to refer back to the beautiful moments we just saw you doing a prayer. And I want to ask you to summarize for me, why did you bring that into your yoga training, yoga teaching practice? What is about it that brings something to you that is greater than just learning the movements?
What I love about it is the quality of devotion that comes through, and that quality of devotion I bring through the senses. So if you saw, there's incense, there's candles, there's flowers, there's food, and all these sensual elements. So I can make a prayer, I can do a meditation just in silence, and I do that. It's beautiful.
Yes.
But then something else happens when I bring in all the elements of the sensuous, which is the body, nature, the feminine. And then I'm learning to bring that quality of silence, of stillness, down onto the earth, right? Down into my daily life. And the puja helps me practice that.
That is so beautiful. I get chills just listening to you. It is what we're missing. A lot of people just do, let's work out to get my muscles going so I look right. And what we really need in this Western hectic world, and I believe all of us know this as women, we're trying to run so many worlds at the same time. What we need to bring to life and back into our daily life is exactly what you're talking about, this silence to feel ourselves. So earlier as we were chatting, you were referring to the moment in which you find yourself right now. And can you refer back to that? And I think we all relate to that. I will give it over to you, the agitation, the emotions, and all that.
Well, this is its own moment, and there could be many moments in the future that might be different, similar, however. But what I can say about what's happening right now is I notice inside myself and globally, wow, there's a lot of energy, a lot of agitation, a lot of strong emotion arising. Fear, anger, concern, despair. And as that comes through, I have a choice. I have a choice about how I respond to that. And sometimes I see folks in the spiritual communities just saying, okay, I'm going to go to meditation, I'm going to go to prayer. And for me, there's a beauty in that, but it skips a step. And the step that gets skipped is what I think of as the feminine. It's like that despair, that anger, that fear there's an aliveness in it, right? So I don't want to suppress that, because if I suppress that, if I just try to go to some place of peace, there's a hollowness or an emptiness that can come in. That energy is divine as anything else is. Right, so I can bring the capacity I have for silence, for non-judgment, right into the heart of the fear or the anger or the grief that's arising. And those two, that silence and then the emotion itself, it's like there's a lovemaking between them. There's an interaction between them. And that interaction is transformational. It changes the energy into something else.
And it takes you from what you said earlier, from reacting to Actually, can you repeat that or say that in your own words? How you described that earlier so beautifully.
Right. So if the fear comes in, for example, the fear comes in and I say, oh no, this is scary. I have to do something to make sure this doesn't happen. I am taking that vibration and my action is amplifying that same vibration. And even though I'm trying to do something against it, I'm actually putting the same vibration back out. Right, so I'm making more of what I don't want in an attempt to fix it. What I can do instead is I can receive that vibration. Step back for a moment, take a breath, feel my feet, feel the ground, notice my heart, notice nature. Notice that I'm not actually alone and that I don't really know what the next moment will bring. And in that moment, there's a transformation that happens, and that vibration becomes something else. Now, whatever I decide to do, whatever inspiration I have for action, comes with that silence, that peace embedded inside of it, and is a transformational action rather than a reaction.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. And to the viewers, I'd like to add that in the Living from Vision course, which I've been teaching for the last 26 years now, it actually teaches the step-by-step process. We call it stop, look, choose. Because oftentimes we find ourselves in daily life in a demanding situation. Emotions are up. Our spouse doesn't do the right things. Our kids are up. The dog is barking. And our emotions come up naturally. And we can step back. Instead of reacting in anger and creating more of the same chaos, we step back. And this allows us to step into the space which in the Eastern philosophy has been called the witness, the part of us that isn't the form, isn't me, isn't you, it's us as the essence. Looking at each other through the form of these eyes, but it's like behind the scenes, the light that illumines the film.
Yes.
So we're no longer the players, we're the script writers.
Yes.
And in that space, we get the choice to say, okay, where do I really want to go? And in the Living from Vision course, we talk about the importance that in the meeting of feeling what is, you have a choice. And you have a choice to say, where do I want to go? Now, what you're prescribing is giving that space to feel what is.
Yes.
To allow it to give answers to you. Maybe it says, listen to me, I need a break, I need a vacation.
Yeah.
I need a cup of tea.
And there's no telling for every person, every situation. It's different how much of a pause is needed. It's different depending on how much we've practiced this capacity and depending on how big of intensity it is. So there may be some moments where I notice myself in reaction. It's almost instantaneously. I can notice it, take a breath, make a choice, and boom. So I create something new.
Right. So taking the breath is your trigger. You practice that a lot, right?
The breath.
So walk us through a sequence. Okay, here's something up. Whatever just happened. The news just came on and gave the most terrible whatever information. You go like, oh my God, what do you do?
So my practice for me personally is if I notice there's a trigger like fear, anger comes up, or emotions, so-called negative emotions that are difficult to be with, my first thing is to allow it, is to have compassion for it. That means I'm gonna...
How do I do that?
How do I allow it?
Okay, how do I allow it? I just see something.
If I'm safe, meaning I'm with someone I love and trust, I might just let myself have an outburst or shed some tears or do something that doesn't look so spiritual or so evolved, right? Like let myself go into that ugliness a little bit, which is okay. I just give myself that safe space to do it. Then I can see myself a little bit. Oh, okay. Is this where you want to be?
So that's when you then step out of it.
Then there's a pausing, a stepping back. I become the one who witnesses. And the breath is a big, big ally here.
So when do you take the breath?
So the moment I become aware that I am identified with fear, anger, rage, despair, hopelessness, whatever it is, right? Something that is not what I would choose for myself. The moment I become aware of that, then I get an opportunity to stop and put more attention on the thoughts, or more attention rather on the breath than on the thoughts.
Okay. So in essence, I have a situation, but I practice, and this is something we all need to do. We need to practice stepping out and not expecting ourselves just to be reactionary. Learning that we have the capacity to write our scripts in our life and using simple triggers that you may want to learn, like take a breath, take a look. What is happening? What do you really want? And that allows you to raise your vibration into another space, and you go, what I really want. And it takes you out of the reaction into the choice. Right. And that's what you were saying.
Yes. And so in that, I'm not perfect at this, right? Mm-hmm. And none of us are perfect at it. And so there's sometimes I can get reactive. Sure. And I notice it. And I've got a choice right then. In that moment when I notice I'm reactive, one of the choices is to be mad at myself or judge myself for being reactive.
Right.
And then I notice, what does that do to my body? When I judge myself, my body gets even more tight, feels more disconnected. Breath usually gets a little more short. Or, in that moment, I can notice I'm being reactive and have compassion for it. Oh,
poor
honey.
You are.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. You're in that place. It's all right. It's human. You're human.
That's it.
So just that little view of compassion, like self-mothering, compassionate mother offered inside, then that allows a little bit of space to come into the body. With that space in the body, there's a little more free attention. And in the next moment, I can make a different choice.
So let me give you an example of how I used that once, which had miraculous results. I got a phone call late at night from Germany from a person who was working on behalf of myself in Germany. And she said, I just got this and this and this information. Please read the facts. So I read the facts. It was outrageous. And I thought, wait a second. And this was in the beginning stages when I had just started learning this technique. I said, I could get really upset right now, and I was starting to, and I thought, why don't I try this nifty technique? I closed my eyes. I said, okay, I need a moment. Time out, universe. Closed my eyes, and I said, what is this feeling like? And then I shifted into, what is it that I really want? And I shifted into a new sense, really wanting a much more harmonious outcome. Some totally different things. Like I just dreamt up something outrageously different. 5 minutes later, I got a phone call, and the person who had sent the fax decided to have changed her mind completely, and on the phone said, oh, I'm so sorry, I totally misunderstood something. She talked herself out of it, and this is how she really meant it.
Amazing.
Because I was willing to no longer be in the old film and reshift into a new parallel dimension.
Yeah.
See, and what I like to promote is that we live in a holographic universe. The quantum living challenge is to not only believe what's in front of our eyes, but to actually step back, take a breath and go, where am I? Where do I want to go?
Yeah.
And what of the many options do I have that I really want to embody?
Yeah.
And I love your element of being kind to yourself, because we may get hurt, upset, or angry, but we have the choice to stop.
Yeah, and they go together. It's like two wings of a bird.
Yes.
It's like the compassion first, and then the clear seeing about what choice is available.
Exactly.
And what I learn about being on this process of waking up, which I really believe is a process. There's not an end goal. It just keeps going, going. And one of the things about that is the nature of waking up means I'm always going to see where I have been unconscious.
Yes.
And it's not when I see, oh, I've been unconscious, that's the sign of waking up, not that something's gone wrong. Like, oh, now I see that.
Yeah.
It's not, seeing that isn't a problem. The choice, if I see it and then I don't like that and I try to suppress it, okay, then I go the other direction.
So
it's the choice there.
Right, and every moment is a moment we can wake up even more.
Yeah.
There is no end in sight to waking up.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I'd like to ask Robyn a question about how to get true intimacy. So stick with me here. Do you want to improve your health, become fit, and reduce your stress levels? Then do what athletes have done successfully for the past 25 years. Work from the inside out with the power of your mind. The Living from Vision online course teaches you how to work from the inside out with the power of visualization. With a downloadable interactive app, you will be guided every morning and evening to help you cross the finish line to your goals. People from all walks of life and all across the world have turned their lives around for the better. Utilizing the power of visualization and pre-experiencing success, people have proven that their lives can be changed dramatically, utilizing the power of their mind. This is the secret key which athletes have used across the globe. It's called internal perspective imagery. Traditional techniques, however, focus on the external form of stress management and goal achievement. You too can find success by joining the thousands of people across the globe by increasing your wellness through the power of your mind. Work from the inside out and download your free ebook today and begin to discover the big secret. And visit us also on our website, livingfromvision.com. How do you help your clients? I know you're working coaching in it when they're stuck in their relationship. How do you promote getting true intimacy? Yeah. And first, maybe you can just tell me what you think true intimacy means, and then how to get there.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a paradox because I can tell you an idea about it, but where it really lives is in the spaces in between any idea that I might have.
Okay.
Right? So if I work with a couple, the first thing I'm going to do with them is have them get comfortable and go into their breath, go into their bodies. Because if I'm not intimate with the body, if I'm not intimate with the ground of my being, there's no real intimacy possible here, right?
So the breath, where do I breathe when I want to drop into my deepest sense of self? How do I do that? Can you model that for us and teach me?
Sure. So I'm a big fan of the deep breath and sound with the breath. Okay. So it looks a little bit like this. So you hear this big sound that I made. In order to breathe that way, my belly expands, my diaphragm drops down. I let my rib cage expand a little bit more.
Okay, so let me learn how to do my belly breath. So my belly goes out a little. It's not just the chest. I don't go like, I can breathe. It's more like, I feel
following the breath.
I feel
down and in.
My bones. I feel the way I sit on this couch.
Yeah. And often when people first start breathing in this way, some people right away go, oh yeah, I can feel that. And for a lot of people, it's like, oh, actually I feel some tightness here. I feel some holding. Great. Let's get curious about that. Okay. Let's bring the breath, the attention a little more into those spaces.
Oh yeah, as you said that, I feel, and I'm saying this on camera, my behind, the end of it, I felt it like relaxing, because a lot of times we contract a lot of areas where we go like, and letting that go. Okay. And as I let go of my buttocks, as I let go of that, I can feel the breath, like almost like blood flow flowing in.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Right. So here's one place we hold on often at the root, and another place often at the throat. We hold on to our energy, keep ourselves safe. It's just a long-held impulse. We have to keep ourselves safe from perceived threats of danger, usually unconscious.
Okay.
Right. But that holding can block off a deeper, more profound, more satisfying sense of connection.
Right. Good.
So it takes a little courage to breathe in this way and be willing to feel whatever it is that arises. Yeah.
So in the out breath, when I go like, I also feel those parts in me opening. Okay. So as we're sitting here, I feel myself maybe more. That how now the next step towards creating intimacy, which can be in a friendship or between husband and wife. What do we do?
Right. So I drop in. That's what I'll call that dropping in, when I let myself just breathe and rest into the silence.
Okay.
Then I notice what I feel. I take that meditative attention to do my very best to not judge or interpret what I feel, but just stay curious about it.
So notice.
Stay curious about it. Notice.
Notice what I am feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So like right now, one of the things that's strong for me, right here in my belly, I feel something kind of like hot and buzzy. Like I think there's the excitement of being here on the interview with you, and then I don't know what else that is, but it's here. I want to include that.
Even just me mimicking that brings more relaxation there.
Yeah.
Where I previously might have felt, or you might have felt, anxiety or whatever.
Well, and here's the thing. I don't know if what I'm feeling is inside of me or inside of you or in the bigger field.
So that's a typical empath answer.
Yeah.
Empaths usually say, I may feel your feelings or my feelings. And that may be an interesting concept for many women. It is the truth that we feel other people's feelings. Not every woman, but a lot of women do. And we can't always know whether they are our own feelings or somebody else's feelings.
Yeah. It's something I want to say particularly to women or to anyone who might identify as an empath, is I think right now we're coming out of a long history of generations of women making themselves wrong about what they feel and perceive. Like, oh, I might be crazy, or I might be sick, or I might be a problem in some way. And what I'm saying is, maybe not. Maybe what we're feeling is the greater field all around us that's calling for our loving attention, that's calling for our witnessing attention. There's something valuable arising inside of us.
And you know what I just got the inspiration is that when we are feeling something, we are alive. We feel.
Yes.
And of course that may bring with it that we are not as rational at times as we might like to be.
Yeah.
And that we get hurt or disturbed. You know what I say? My husband calls me the great canary bird.
Yes. Yes.
He's like, we took lessons in figuring out that when something dangerous was coming our way, I would go off like a little canary bird. Yes. You know, the canary birds, they put them in the coal mines.
Yes.
And the canary birds die because they need oxygen, and they died sooner than the coal miners.
Yes.
So when you are the canary bird that gets feelings, and you can't interpret them, but you get agitated and go, something isn't right. Mm-hmm. You know, at first my husband would say, like, come on, straighten out, what's up? But in time we learned that the agitation was the gift.
Yeah.
I learned now to go, oh, I'm agitated, I better listen to what it's trying to tell me.
Yes. And I love that you speak about this in the context of your relationship, right? Because your partner can mimic your own masculine inside, right? So before I learned how to trust this, I would have men around me saying, why are you feeling so much? Or why are you being like that? Maybe, let's heal this, let's fix this. And I would feel okay. Because something inside my own mind was not trusting me. And as I've evolved more, as I've learned to trust myself more, now I have a man in my life who, when something is up, he gets really compassionate and curious. Oh, okay, wonder what's happening here. Maybe you have valuable information. So he's reflecting back what I've been offering to myself.
So the moment you were okay with yourself having those kinds of weird emotions, you found a mate, your husband, who now is willing to say, oh, that's interesting, instead of judging it. So the moment you shifted from self-judgment, you shifted also attracting a person outside of you that was willing to accept that part of you. Very potent.
And sometimes it goes the other way around too, that sometimes he's able to reflect back to me compassion where I may be having a hard time offering compassion.
To yourself.
Like consciously. But I know I have made that commitment to myself, and he is mirroring that back to me. Even if it's not always what's manifest in a moment, consciousness plays hide and seek with itself.
Right.
So here he gets to mirror back to me something in the moment that I haven't been able to hold. And in another moment, I do that for him.
So if you were to give me a little definition on what you think intimacy is, or how would you put it in a nutshell? What would you say? What makes something intimate feeling?
Intimacy is two or more people's attention being in the same place at the same time, being honest about what they're experiencing.
So the honest sharing of what is.
The honest sharing of what is
Intimacy.
being curious and honestly expressing what is.
You know, that reminds me, when I was a teenager, I remember learning the secret of intimacy with my girlfriends. And it always happened when we were willing to talk about something that was difficult to talk about. When we were willing to share something that was deeply personal, even if it was negative. And I remember my girlfriend once, I had an issue with how I felt she was being, maybe withdrawing from me or withholding. And the moment I shared that with her, we dropped into what is. Of course, it was difficult, but we talked until the truth emerged of what we really wanted.
Right.
Now, of course, that gives the opportunity to say, yes, I want to separate, or yes, I want to be closer. But I bet you, and bar none, I bet you, most of the time, intimacy evolves because we're willing to share something that is a little bit more difficult to share.
Yes. And it's collaborative intimacy. So you can reveal something, and then that's like an offering that you make to the intimacy of our bond. And then I have a choice about how I'm going to respond to that. If you reveal this precious pearl that's vulnerable, and I judge you for it, or I shut down, or I pull away, it's going to degrade or erode our intimacy.
Right.
But if I use that compassion, that clear seeing that I have, that willingness to not know, and I thank you for sharing that, and I affirm you for sharing that, I bring that into the heart, it's going to open a deeper space of intimacy.
And the greater truth of yourself can be brought to the table.
Yeah.
Maybe additional fears and anxieties that you might have had, because isn't it true in most of our lives, we're all pretty human. We all tick the same way.
Yeah.
We all want to be loved. We all would ideally like to be understood. So we can offer that as a jewel to the other, as long as, of course, we pick someone who's capable of responding closely to our capacity level.
Yeah.
If I pick someone, let's say a relationship with a child, typically we don't burden them with the entire volume of our deep feelings.
Right. Yeah.
But we do age-appropriate sharing, which is not I hope you find, it's like, I remember my mom was so gracious. She would share age-appropriately, but deep truths. Rather than talking down to me, she talked to me at eye level.
Beautiful.
So there is intimacy with children, intimacy amongst female, male friends, same-sex friends, or the intimacy in a relationship that's erotic or sexual.
Yeah.
All different kinds of levels require a true revelation and opening.
This is one of the things I really learned from my time in India is about the temple as a metaphor has various gates. And at the outer gate, only certain people are allowed to come to the outer gate. You have to take your shoes off, you have to make an offering, you're allowed at the outer gate. And then if you make more offerings, if you're more pure of heart, you can come into the next gate, and then the next gate, and the next gate. And only the most pure of heart can come to the very inner sanctum of the temple where the goddess lives. Right? And this is how it is in relationship. It's like I only share my most precious intimacies with those who are most pure of heart.
Meeting you in that purity.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so beautiful. Yeah. And now I'm coming to my surprise question, and this is a hard hitter, because I know sometime in your life or somebody's life you've known someone who's gone through this. So I'm interested to see how Robyn will reply. Robyn, what would you say or do the moment maybe your partner, husband in this case, would say, sweetheart, there's somebody else I'm attracted to?
Truth?
Yes.
truth in that moment, in the split-second moment, my heart might fall into my belly. I might feel tight. I might feel frightened. I might feel scared.
Okay.
Right? Truth, just what happens in that moment. And then the next moment, I come back to the breath.
Come back to yourself.
I come back to the breath. I come back to the self. I check out, am I actually threatened in this moment? Something feels threatened in me. Is that true? Look around. Sun's still shining. There's a butterfly outside the window. Like, I look for where is there safety? If something feels threatened inside me, is that true? Am I actually threatened? Right?
Beautiful. I think for right now, because our time is running out, I'd like to keep that as the pearl of the jewel wisdom, the jewel in the lotus, so to speak. And I hope you have been able to glean some ideas about how to drop into your breath, how to drop out of playing the role into being with who you are, and then coming back to the sense of true isness and sharing that with another. Thank you so much for taking us
Ilona.
to a deeper part of your temple. Thank you.
Cool.